thing we have to fear is fear itself.
The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning.
Welcome to the Common Sense Practical Prepper Podcast, where prepping doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. Coming to you from a well-defended off-grid compound high in the mountains. Coming to you from his Florida room in Richmond, Virginia. Neither off-grid nor well-defended, unless you count his chickens and cats. Here is your host, Keith.
Hey, all, welcome back to the Common Sense Practical Prepper Podcast. My name is Keith. October 25th, 2025. I want to talk a little bit about the U-Haul incident at the Coast Guard base Alameda in California a couple days ago outside of Oakland. And I want to add a few things of context to it to perhaps paint a wider picture about what I think might be happening. So this is a 67-acre man-made island, one bridge, one way in, one way out, federal facility, restricted, no public entry without an escort. So all day, there were hundreds of protesters that were blocking the entrance. Now, there were rumors that 100-plus ICE agents were going to stage in the Bay Area and do some immigration sweeps. The protest turned violent, flashbangs, a couple protesters injured, with scuffles with federal law enforcement. And apparently President Trump called off the sweep later that afternoon. The crowd thinned out but did not fully disperse. So about 22:02 local time, this U-Haul enters the scene, a 25-foot U-Haul. It had been parked near the protesters on the perimeter for hours. So the driver suddenly starts the engine and begins some erratic movements near the gate. Coast Guard security personnel, they form like a line across near a vehicle barrier and were giving all sorts of commands. And this is seen and heard on the video. Stop the vehicle, hands up, stop. The driver ignores the warnings and shifts it in reverse and starts accelerating back towards the officers. A couple officers jump to the side, shots fired, several rounds thrown downrange towards the U-Haul. There are bullet holes visible in the U-Haul truck. Some make contact to the driver's side panel as well as the rear door. You can see the rounds kicking up asphalt. This is all on video. Clear audio commands, muzzle flashes. The truck lurches forward, maybe 30, 40 feet, and then takes off. So about 22:04, about 2 minutes later, he flees the immediate area, circles the island, and then comes back. So he's apprehended without further incident. So now injuries. The driver is shot in the stomach, non-life threatening. A bystander, Reverend Jorge Bautista, a local minister, was hit with a fragment. He was treated and released the same night. No Coast Guard personnel or federal law enforcement were injured. So Alameda PD and Oakland PD secure the scene, get a crime scene going, outer perimeter, and the FBI takes lead in the investigation. Soon after that, more concrete barriers, jersey walls, are put up around the gate. This is not the first time a vehicle has attempted to ram a federal facility. Let me give you a couple highlights. 1993, CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, January 25th. A Pakistani national named Mir Amal Kasani parked his van outside the main gate, opens fire with an AK, then rams the barrier to escape. 2 CIA employees are killed, 3 wounded. He flees to Pakistan. I need to dig in on how he actually was able to leave the country. Captured in 1997, 4 years later, executed in 2002. 1 man, 1 rental, and 0 warning. 2006, UNC Chapel Hill, a federal research facility. Most of your major universities have a federal research arm within the university. March 3rd, 2006, Mohammed Tahiri Azhar in a rented Jeep plows into a campus crowd near the pit. 9 injured. He claimed it was retaliation for U.S. foreign policy. Again, the reason he ran into that particular area, UNC receives federal grants, and apparently that was a symbolic target for him. June 1st, 2009, Little Rock Military Recruiting Station. Abdul Hakim Muhadid Muhammad fires on soldiers outside a Navy Marine recruiting center, then rams the building with his SUV. One soldier killed, one wounded. Muhammad later tied to Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. 2013, I remember this one as well. Quantico, Virginia, the Quantico Marine Base. March 21st, a civilian in a stolen box truck rams the main gate at 60 miles an hour. Barrel rolls. The driver's killed, no shots fired. The barrier held. Quantico installed hydraulic wedges post-incident. If you've ever seen those, they're in the ground and they pop up at about a 45-degree angle. No vehicle is getting through those wedges. 2017, Naval Air Station Pensacola in Florida, December 6th. A Saudi trainee shoots 3 sailors, but earlier intel showed that he scouted ramming the main gate with the rental. That plan was abandoned. So we see a pattern of rental vehicles and rental cars. Let's talk about the White House. That has seen a lot of vehicle ramming. 1995, White House North Lawn, Frank Eugene Corder, a troubled Army vet, steals a plane, crashes the plane into the White House grounds. He's killed. Nothing else was found. Secret Service swept the wreckage for hours. No IEDs, no other devices. Because of that incident in 1995, that led to the no-fly zones over Washington, D.C. I did not know that until I started looking into this. 2009, White House Northwest Gate. May 3rd, Michael Stanley, unemployed and off his medication, rams a pickup truck into the outer barriers at about 30 miles an hour. Secret Service agents fire to stop him. He's arrested unharmed. His motive, delusional threats against President Obama. Because of that, upgraded, reinforced bollards were then added to the White House gates. March 10th, 2017. Benny Parker, 26-year-old, had a beef with President Trump, drives his sedan straight into the steel barriers near the Northwest Gate. Agents open fire. He's wounded, but survives. He's charged with threats. There were a bunch of online rants. So you get the picture. One just about a week or so ago, an unnamed driver in a black sedan rams into a security checkpoint at 17th and E Streets Northwest, just yards from the Eisenhower Executive Office building. Arrested on the spot, vehicle inspected for bombs. It was deemed safe, no injuries, unknown motive at this time. Trump was in the White House. So I have looked and I cannot find the name of the driver in the Alameda U-Haul truck case. So apparently the driver is being held. He was released and then FBI he was treated at the hospital and then the FBI took him into custody. He's on a psychiatric hold. Now, it's not uncommon for somebody on a psychiatric hold, mental health evaluation, for their name not to be released. So we can take off our tinfoil hats for a couple days and let that process run its course. And then I'm sure we'll find out more information about this guy. So FBI San Francisco, it's an active case. There's all sorts of reasons why they don't want to provide information. It's an officer-involved shooting. Those officers will be on a paid suspension, and that investigation will run parallel with the FBI investigation. They have to account for every round. Use of force board has to meet, and that could drag on for several months. So this is not a cover-up. It's not being staged. This is just a process. So maybe in a week after the evaluation, expect a name and then the FBI to come out with the charging documents, and then we can take a closer look at that. So the Alameda incident, there were 9 mil casings on the ground. There was real blood on the pavement. Reverend Batista was really shot, and he was really taken to the hospital and then released. But as soon as this happened, as soon as this broke, the internet went bananas that it was a hoax. And I'll explain why this is dangerous in a minute. So when a real attack happens, active shooters, vehicle ramming, gate breach, some people will freeze and think, oh, this can't be real. And I've spoken about this before. This can't happen here. You've heard me say that before. They're in denial. Oh, this isn't going to happen. This is fake. This is a movie scene. I read one comment where Somebody said, when your U-Haul driver comes with his own cameraman. Now, the cameraman was a local news crew that was there covering the protests and then hung around. Luckily, I guess, fortune would have it that the cameraman caught this particular incident. Treat every incident like it's real until proven otherwise, especially if it happens in your city, your town, your state, somewhere relatively close to you. Assume that it is real until otherwise. So the U-Haul reverses into the federal gate. Sounds just like Langley, Quantico, Little Rock, the rammings that happened at the White House. It's very important in situations like this that we believe these incidents are really happening. There's a lot of AI videos out there, and I've even seen videos of car crashes and shootouts that people have posted on X that were truly from a movie set or a movie being filmed in a city that looked very, very real, but they were quickly debunked. This ties into what Sarah Adams has been talking about with what she and a lot of other people, including myself, is a pending attack here in the United States. People will say the U-Haul incident was just a probing attack. Well, maybe it was. Maybe it's just a crazy guy in a U-Haul. Who knows? But there are enough of these that it causes people to pause for a second. That's not real. That's AI. That's a movie set. Do you remember a few months ago when we had a rash of active shooters at universities? It was like one a day, one every other day. There was one incident where there were, I believe, 2 in one day. Remember the kid walking through campus with an umbrella because it just stopped raining and someone said he's got a gun? That was an incident where, and I'm not going to blame the people who called it in. They're conditioned if they see something, say something. So no harm, no foul there. But a lot of these, I think, are just probing attacks. A lot of these 911 calls that we never really find out who made the call is a situation where the bad actors are watching. They see how law enforcement responds. They see how the students respond. They see how the faculty responds. And then when it turns out to be nothing, everybody goes back to their day. Enough of these happen, and when a real one happens, oh boy, here we go. Just another fake 911 call, and people don't heed the warning. They don't shelter in place, and they become victims of this. I think these are probing attempts just to see the response of those involved, but we have to take these very seriously. We can't assume that it's fake. We can't assume it's AI. We can't assume it's a movie set. By assuming that is going to get you killed. All right, folks, thanks so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to get that out there because when I first saw it, it looked odd to me, backing the van up and then pulling the van forward and then the driver looking at the cameraman. It just seemed off, but I didn't pass judgment. I waited. I then checked the internet about 15 minutes later, and there were dozens of stories. If I had not seen any follow-up stories, then I would tend to think it was not genuine. But the more I read, the more information I gathered, I then realized it was an actual event. All right, folks, I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Common Sense Practical Prepper Podcast on X. Prep_podcast is the official handle. Practical Prep Podcast at Gmail if you want to get a hold of me. Again, folks, thanks so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And as always, be careful out there, take care of one another, and until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Common Sense Practical Prepper Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review.